Hello, and welcome to this very special edition of the Mail-In Podcast, or should I say, the Female-In Podcast. I'm your host, Sally deFries, and to my right is my sister.
Not used to saying to the right.
Yeah, Lily Betcher. What's up, Lily?
What's up?
Thanks
Here
for
we
coming
are.
in.
My first time in the new stew.
Oh, I didn't realize you hadn't been here yet.
Yeah, Randy gave me a tour. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, looks great. So for those of you who are new listeners or maybe wondering where Brett is on a cross-country road trip. You might be keeping up on his social media. And so I'm filling in for him as on the soundboard today because I don't know how to do it. So actually Randy is filling in. Thank you, Randy. And Lily came in to join us to answer some questions. The way this episode's going to kind of work is we're going to answer some like fun ones, and then the second half of the episode, we're going to talk. We got a lot of questions about pregnancy, postpartum, motherhood, parenthood,
Those
etc.
can still be fun.
Those can still be fun, but like may
Not
not be
as
your
fun.
total jam if you're like, not.
22, a single man.
Yeah, exactly. You may be wondering, what is the Mail-In Podcast? We do our best to answer your questions, get a laugh in, maybe walk away with something useful. If you're a 22-year-old male, like maybe you're going to learn about postpartum bleeding today. I don't know. Maybe maybe Randy's not thrilled about talking about this. How can you help us out? Tell a friend about the podcast, send some clips. Shouts to Adam for cutting our clips. Is he still doing that, Randy? Great. Subscribe on iTunes and follow on Spotify. Hit the hotline at 888-362-MAIL. That's 888-362-6245. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio, which is at Mail-In Podcast. Also, we have a new YouTube channel. Our YouTube is youtube.com/Mail-In Podcast. Real easy to remember. But before we get started, Lily, anything going on in your life right now? Anything going on in your day? I've been trying to do the fall fits of the sweater up top, shorts on the bottom.
Yeah, I
Princess
saw
style
that
look.
when you walked in.
It worked for about 10 seconds this morning.
I'm the opposite. I
68
do
degrees.
leggings on the bottom, short sleeve on the top.
Well, I should be doing leggings. I haven't shaved in like a week, so.
I do actually like a sweat short situation. Sweatsuit, but with shorts. Matching sweatsuit.
Where are you getting this from?
Target has them. Emily hand me down. I just got.
Emily's our older sister, and our other older sister Natalie. And Lily and I get most of our clothes from them because we're cheap and we.
I got my prom dress from one of them. I've always been a hand me down girl, and I'm cheap. What else is new? I don't even want to go into the house thing, so let's not. That's the newest.
I got a haircut. If no one noticed, thank you for noticing, Randy and Lily.
Yeah, Randy
literally
definitely noticed.
Will didn't even say.
I just thought you curled it.
No, I got a haircut. It was awesome.
How do you like it? I need to get a haircut.
Here's the thing about me cutting my hair, and I don't know how it is for other people, especially guys, because like Will schedules his haircut like when he's at the haircut he's currently at. I don't do that.
Oh no. See, Drew is like, I need a haircut this week, and he calls and goes the next day.
Will does that, I think.
We can't do that.
But you've got to get in on the books like really far ahead of time. But I only cut my hair probably 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, I'm like twice.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
I think I'm going to hit 3 this year. But I'll be at a point where I'm like, oh my God, I hate my hair so much. And then I have to get in, but it's been too long and I didn't think ahead to get a haircut. So then I have to like text my girl and be like, any cancellation you have, I'll show up.
Well, you're lucky because you don't also have to color your hair. So
yeah,
that's even worse. You have to try to get 4 hours in.
Try
scheduling that in advance.
Yeah, you can't.
With a child.
It's not easy.
Not happening. But
all right. You ready to get into some questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Hit me.
Not about hair. Scallywag, Peanut Brettle, and Lillian.
Wow.
Peanut Brettle's not here.
Peanut Brettle is an interesting nickname. Have y'all called him that before?
No.
Okay.
No one's also ever called me Scallywag.
I like it.
On couples costumes. I'm not the biggest fan of cheesy ones and worry my girlfriend will opt for one after she decided not to go for her original costume. Firstly, What costumes should be avoided altogether since they'll be too common this year? And second, what about obscure reference costumes from cult classics or old films? I usually go for obscure ones and want to see if my GF will do one too. Okay,
Really wish you would have told us what her original outfit was.
correct. I needed to know. Mostly out of curiosity. Okay, what are your like no goes on couples costumes?
So I'm not like a huge Halloween gal.
Me neither. This
I've
is
I was trying to think, like, I've dressed up with Drew a few times, but it was always because we had like we don't just like dress up and like trick or treat on our street or sit at home and hand out candy, which is what we do now. We don't dress up to do
Are
that.
you gonna hand out candy at your on your street this year?
Probably. I
Yeah,
think it's a great trick or treating street. Although
I'm
I
gonna
probably
come
have to
over
get
there.
king size candy bars because it seems
Yeah,
like the thing to
the
do.
type of the neighborhood. Their
Anyways,
rental houses.
yeah, rental house in the nice parts of the streets. Um, I was trying to
You've had
think.
some good
I've
couples
had some good
costumes.
ones. I did, the standard Wendy and Squints.
Uh-huh, and
That was
y'all
a great
did
one.
the old man and the
The kid from Up. I was the little boy from Up, and Drew was the old man. That was one of my personal favorites.
and everyone knew who you were.
And everyone knows we like spray painted Drew's hair
Yeah,
gray, and I like was holding balloons and made my costume. That was a
yeah.
doozy. But um I personally think I'm with him, like movie people or like, something from a film or something that everyone will know, but like it doesn't have to be sexy. I'm like super anti-sexy Halloween.
Right.
So obviously I was a boy one year, a Boy Scout with the up costume. And then the windy one, I mean, I guess you could consider that sexy, but
Didn't y'all go as, dancers from the Justin Bieber
yes,
music
that was
video?
another one of my favorite ones.
Sorry.
Drew was Justin Bieber and I was the dancer from the Sorry video where they're all wearing jerseys.
Right.
I'm also about like convenience. I'm not trying to spend a fortune to go get a slutty outfit.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Here's how I feel about Halloween. I'm not super huge into Halloween. We've done honestly, probably our best costume was Will and I dressing up as
I
each
was gonna
other.
say that's always a go-to, but you have to have very
Specific
specific
looks,
looks and
like
like
s
professions.
right, like, it was easy to be Will because I put a beard on and he
And it's
put
easy to you because you're red hair
right.
nurse.
So, that was easy, but if you're just like no offense, you and Drew dress up as each
Yeah, I was
other,
like,
like,
okay.
what, you just gonna, like, trade Aviator Nation shirts and, like,
Yes.
put on trucker hats?
I know. My friend one time dressed up as her husband as he golfs like every single week and obsessed with golf. And she straight up wore his clothes and then did a beard, but he wasn't there. So it was funny because it
Yeah,
was girls dressing as guys, I think is funny. I don't know why. Like, because they clearly don't care. It's not like
right.
you're trying to like look really sexual if you're dressed up as your husband or boyfriend.
What I was gonna say though is my issue with Halloween is like if you have to explain your costume, I don't really
Mhm.
give a shit. Most of the time I don't know what people are unless it's like super obvious and you're just like a ladybug or you're Peter Pan. But like if you're like a couple and I don't know who you are, I don't need you like I don't want you to get all exasperated that you have to explain it
Ooh,
to me.
that's what I was gonna say about the old time or what did he say? Like old
Cult
movies or yeah.
classics. Yeah.
I would not know who those people were. Like I would know
Well, you wouldn't
co
know because you don't watch anything that's not
that's
set in the
right.
present time.
That's right. But
Fun fact
like
about Lily, she won't watch
hate historical pieces.
historical pieces, but, like, is Grease a historical piece?
Well, no, but that's like no. I'm
Okay,
talking like I mean, there's like those movies that everyone's seen.
okay, you're right.
I have not seen God, I can't even think of an example.
Like Star Wars?
Well, yeah, any Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. No, thank you.
Okay.
What are the when they're not like what is it called when they're not like in our world? Sci-fi. Sci-fi. Do not
You're
like
not a big
sci-fi.
sci-fi fan.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, who is? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people.
Don't dress up as Baby Yoda for Lily, she'll
Yeah.
be pissed at you.
Um, I think ones to avoid, which he asked, are well,
Are there any common ones that you think, like, everyone's gonna be this year?
Okay, see, I'm also really bad at this. Like last year, I feel like everyone was the Megan Fox MKZ or like Kim and
MKZ, MGK.
MGK.
Machine Gun Kelly.
Exactly. Oh, we have one of my friend's little brother's a DJ and we call him MKZ.
Okay.
Anyways, clearly I'm not good at the pop
Right.
culture. Like everyone's always one of the Kardashians in their
Right.
current situation. This year, I feel like it's gonna be oh, I've seen it. I like can't think of it.
Randy, do you have any pop culture icons that you think people are gonna be this year for Halloween?
Eddie from Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
There's something else that everyone's gonna be that recently
I don't know. This is the
happened.
thing. Most of the time, I'm, like, not cool enough on pop culture to, like, do a pop culture
Right, or I'm
reference.
just not like yeah, like if it's right then and there, I'm not like getting a costume right then and putting together the
Mhm.
popular pop culture
One of
reference.
my favorite the only one that I've ever, like, done real good props to, and I was like, this was not me, but someone did it, and I was like, "That was hilarious," was we were at a couple's Halloween party. It was like a date party. It was whatever, like, the Chi Kappa thing was,
Uh-huh.
Halloween. And this girl came as her boyfriend came as a her boyfriend came as a globe and she came as a beauty queen, and she was like a meme from like 2007 or 8 where she basically was talking about it's one of
The global I
she
know
talks
exactly what
about
you're
like
talking about.
the Americas, and she mispronounces all these countries, and the globe said all of the shit she said that like weren't real places.
Right.
That was funny.
Yeah, memes I think are funny.
But like you said, you don't wanna be the person who overdoes it, like, you don't wanna be the American Girl doll meme that's like, "We need an American Girl doll who finds PSLs to be her only form of personality," or, like,
Oh
whatever
god.
bullshit,
Yeah.
like, don't do that.
I personally like the costumes that are like, um, this is might be silly, but remember another one following someone was the movie theater floor and someone was the janitor. That
Yeah,
was like something like silly things like that that are paired together, I think are funnier than like
trying to be
trying to
really
be another
witty.
couple, like
Yeah.
trying to be a famous couple. I don't think that that's
Low key, I think Will and I are just gonna be Rip and Beth from Yellowstone,
okay, that's good. Well, that's easy.
but because we look like them, and then,
I
like,
will
if no
say
one knows, I'm just gonna be like, "We're
I
Rip and
will
Beth,
say
don't
Brett
care."
as MGK, now that I know his initials or whatever, last year was, like, very
I did
good.
forget that
He was
Brett was
so good
MGK.
at MGK. Like, I walked in and I was like, I didn't even know that was Brett. I was just like, he's so in character.
Did you dress up for that party?
No, I had come from a wedding.
Okay.
But
I
Will
was
was oh, that was also when everyone was white or, Dave was
Dave
White
was
Lotus.
Armand from White Lotus, that was a good
Amazing.
one.
I think if you're doing or like if you're doing something that's popular, doing something from popular like TV shows like Stranger Things or whatever is the better route than like a popular
Meme.
meme or couple like, Kim and Pete or whatever,
Yeah.
they broke up, but I think it's funnier to do like a
I also
fake
think if you can't think of a good couple's costume, you don't have to go together. Or you
right.
could
Or you
just
could be the same thing.
yeah.
Or like
My one of my favorite couple's costumes was 2 of our friends senior year dressed up as the troll dolls. Remember those? That, like, had their hair,
yeah,
they had
one
their
one of
hair
those
up
parties
and
I was a
painted, and
nerd and my
we're in, like, nude,
nude
bodysuits with, like,
bodysuits.
crystals over their genitals. It was
That's
a great
good.
costume.
Well, like, one year I was a nerd, my date was a calculator. Remember I made him wear a poster that looked like a calculator? Um, the other one I was gonna say, you either dress as the same thing or, like, totally random, just like I was saying, pairings. Like, I know a girl and a guy that one was the Hooters girl and one was a bucket of wings or something,
Yeah.
and the guy was the girl, though. Like, the guy
Yeah.
wore fake boobs and stuff, and the girl had, like, wings sauce all over her. So, like, I mean, you could literally do anything, but I think steer clear of
The memes.
the memes and the people.
Don't
Like
go as dude with sign, okay?
or
That's
yeah, or Chloe and Tristan and their baby, you
yeah.
know?
Um, I think a great way is whenever we tweet this episode out, please respond to us in the comments of what you're gonna be.
Some good we're actually looking for a costume for, Bane and Fritz.
Yeah.
I actually think I have
I
the
thought we were
idea.
gonna do Tommy and Chucky.
I think we should. That
Okay.
this year is perfect because they
Yeah.
can walk. So
Yeah.
they just wear diapers and t-shirts. I mean,
We're gonna have to order the costumes soon, though.
yeah.
You know what would be a great shoe for Halloween? Have you ever heard of Rothy's, Lily?
I haven't.
Okay. You prepare for your mind be
But I
blown.
am in the market for some shoes.
And you know who would love these too? Drew.
Drew, God. No, I'm not. Drew's not allowed to buy any more shoes
Well,
except for
at
maybe
this
these.
price point, he's gonna want to. Rothy's are versatile shoes that I love because you can dirty them up and then you just throw them in the washer and they're like clean white again. Clean white.
Love a white shoe.
Love a white sneaker. They have really great driving loafers. Honestly, they're so comfortable and they're machine washable, which is a huge plus for me. Say goodbye to the break-in period you usually have to go through with other shoes. They're soft, flexible material and wildly comfortable insoles make them one of the most wearable shoe right out of the box. Okay?
So
Because you
there's
don't have to
sneakers
like
and other stuff.
yes,
Oh, hell yeah.
flats for women. Great shoes. Very stylish shoes, actually. Um, this is for Drew. Dirty sneakers. Biggest pet peeve. He hates them, right? Like I've literally watched
Psychotic.
Drew scrub a shoe with a toothbrush before. It's embarrassing. They're 100% machine washables thanks to their sustainably made material, so you never have to worry about dirtying them because you can just clean them right up.
Sally, Drew has a specific toothbrush for shoe cleaning.
Not anymore. Not with
So
Rothy's.
this is a great idea.
Even the sneaker laces and the whole shoe are made from recycled plastic water bottles. So you're helping the environment as well. No wonder Rothy's best-selling men's shoes get a 5-star review from almost every customer. And to top it all off, the driving loafer was just named one of Time's 100 best inventions in 2021 in the style category, calling it an ideal shoe for the late pandemic era. This season, find out why people fall hard for Rothy's. With new shoes, bags, and more for everybody, you can snag something for yourself or someone you love, but probably yourself first. For a limited time, get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/mail. That's Rothys, ROTHYS.com/mail for $20 off.
I'm in the market for some new white
I'm
sneaks.
telling you, Drew's going to love these things.
No, but for me.
Well, and you.
I love a white
Both of you
sneak.
love white shoes.
But
Okay.
they're the worst because you can never clean them. So now you can.
Now you can. Let's get to the next one.
Okay.
Hey, Sally and Lily. I'm looking to sign up for a new travel rewards related credit card and I'm having trouble picking one out, mainly because I want to get an Amex and I feel like I've been stubborn in that choice. For backstory, my aunt generously booked us a trip for my whole extended family to Portugal, but I need to cover my flight. No complaining from me whatsoever, but I thought this would be a good time to take out another card to grant me extra benefits and raise my overall credit limit. Plus, I love traveling. Any recommendations on cards? If you don't feel comfortable talking about what is in your credit card arsenal, then do you have any tips on what are the best added benefits to look for in signing up? What travel cards do you have?
I'm a horrible one for this because I have Southwest because we use it for everything. But Drew has Amex and Chase.
Right.
Sapphire?
Yes. I think probably the two
Ch-
most popular are going to be your Amex or your Chase.
I actually think, I mean, we haven't really utilized the Amex rewards. I do feel like Chase is more geared toward travel.
Okay.
Amex, I feel like, is like everything. But you have an Amex.
So I have a Chase and Will has,
An Amex.
I actually have a Delta Amex, a specific Delta
Oh.
Amex, but Will has an Amex Platinum.
Okay.
Both have served us well. So we both I used my Chase and he uses Amex to book flights when we went to Europe
You're a
recently.
Delta Chase or Delta Amex?
I have a Delta Amex and I have a Chase
And
Sapphire.
a Chase. Okay.
Yeah.
Chase Sapphire is the one that, like, I'm pretty sure you get like $300 reimbursed on flight stuff.
It just depends. So that's the other thing I was going to say. First of all, I'm not the points guy. So that's always a good place to start, like lead you to
I
a
know, I
different
need to-
blog. But like he's going to be the most up to date on what deals are going on. And I chose the cards I did based on what deals were happening at the time.
Yes, I was going to say, do not sign up for one unless there's like,
Right.
because then you're so mad when there is a deal and you signed up and
Right.
got a measly 5,000 points and then straight up next week you get companion pass.
Right. So Couple things. First of all, like for you and I, we both have a Southwest visa because we fly Southwest a lot,
Right.
and it has led us to get companion pass because of where we live. If I lived in New York, I probably wouldn't have a Southwest
Right.
visa. I'm not flying Southwest as much. If you want something where if you're really loyal to a specific airline, which I feel like is not super common anymore, then having their credit card can help you out because you're
You're getting
likely
points.
to get more points through their stuff, makes it easier to book, etc. Amex in general tends to partner with Delta, but you can use their points across the board for other
Yeah.
airlines.
I think you can like convert them 1-to-1 or
Right.
whatever.
Chase, both okay, so Chase Sapphire Reserve, I think, is the nicer one, and Amex Platinum, both, I think, at the current time, and this might have raised because of inflation, have a 450 or maybe even
500, I think.
550, maybe.
I think Drew has the Sapphire Reserve and it's like 550, but his whole thing is like, well, you get $300
Right.
back on
So
travel
that's the like yearly fee.
fee.
But you're supposed to get, $200 of credit for doing your global entry or TSA pre-check. You usually get like a $200 or $300 travel credit. I mean, I'm not reading any, I'm just guessing. So you
Yeah.
will look at what they say. Travel credit, upgrades, etc. Will was actually sold on the Amex Platinum right before we went to London the first time in 2019 because the guy, when he was like doing something on his Amex, and the guy was like, "Hey, I noticed that you take a ton of Ubers, and we will get you cash back or whatever it is on Ubers. This is going to help you, whatever." So Will signed up for the platinum, and then the pandemic hit, and guess who didn't take any Ubers anymore? That's
I was
right.
going to say, yeah, like certain cards have certain
But
benefits.
both Amex and Chase, if you book like hotels through them, you'll get, late checkouts, you'll get complimentary breakfast, things like that.
Does Chase have, because the Amex does also have the whole like, you buy an iPhone, you get lost or theft protection. You like, does Chase have stuff like that, or is it primarily travel?
I'm not sure. That's something
Because
to look
that's another
into.
thing to look into. Like,
And
is he
Amex,
just wanting this? He or she just wanting this because of this trip? And it seems like a good idea to start paying attention to credit cards because
right.
they want to travel more. Or like for me, I got the Southwest one because we fly the Southwest all the time. But two, it's like double points on groceries. So I use it for like just
Mhm.
everyday stuff. I'm not
Well,
like trying to upgrade flights to Europe.
yeah. So I think knowing what's most important to you is number one.
Right.
If travel is most important to you, I think probably Chase or Amex are going to be the top two. And at certain points, one is going to edge out the other. Amex currently, I think you have access to, like, if you're a platinum member, a bunch of lounges and stuff. So if you
Yeah.
are trying
Yes. Drew has the Amex and we get into the,
Delta Lounge.
yeah, that thing is the Centurion Lounge.
Oh, okay.
That thing is nice.
Okay, Lily. Lily loves
I
lounge.
honestly hate layovers, but I'm like, well, if there's a lounge, I will. I will oblige. Get a mimosa and a free meal.
Then, like, again, if one of them is running, I think when I got the Chase, it was like 100,000 point bonus, which is why I did it. Same thing for Will. Southwest is always a good card to have if you live in an area where you fly Southwest a lot. But you can get, if you wait it out, like they'll either give you
Yes.
70,000 points or even like a companion pass, which is worth it.
And also plug straight up message me because I want to refer you and get the points. I want to get the points.
Okay.
So there you go.
I definitely think as long as you can stay on top of, you're not like charging a bunch to different credit cards and then not paying them off, having multiple credit cards is not a big deal.
Right. I was going to say, the person mentioned like upping their credit or whatever. You don't want to have like 10 cards and be maxed out on all of them, obviously.
Right.
I have a credit card that I actually lost and I have not used in like 4 years, but it's helped my credit because of my utilization. Like I've never put anything on that card because I
Right.
lost it. And it's actually better for your credit to just keep it open and not use it than
Right.
close it.
Same.
So
Yeah. I have I think currently I have a Amex, I have a Delta Amex, I have a
I'm
Southwest
I'm I'm
Visa.
shocked about the Delta. Like, do you fly Delta a lot?
Well, we started flying Delta more when we went to
Oops.
Michigan when Will
Oh,
and I first
yeah.
started dating.
I have a Southwest, and then I have an Amex that's, like, part of Drew. Like, Drew
Right.
got, like, a free additional,
Well, usually you can add like a user on
yeah,
your
add a
card.
user, and he got something for it, so that's why he got me that card, but
Yeah.
I don't ever really use it. I use my Southwest because 'cause I'm trying to get companion, which is a totally separate topic, but me and Dylan and Brittany have talked about this before. It's like you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to, like, maybe save $300 on a flight. It's like their marketing is genius.
Yeah. I think we did a decent job at answering that question.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, if you can decide, go with the one that has the better promo
Yeah, absolutely.
at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. Just
And also go with the
they're all
one
gonna have benefits, so
and then especially if you haven't booked your flight yet, you get the card and then book the flight on the card so that
right,
you
so you
go
get the
towards the
stuff.
bonus.
Yeah,
Because usually you're gonna have to spend like $4,000 to even get the bonuses
yeah.
in the first 3 months or something.
Honestly, Portugal sounds nice.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Okay.
I feel like guys can get nervous that a girl will take trying to hit on them as being creepy. So, what were y'all's immediate red flags that a guy was being creepy, or your best stories of a guy trying to hit on you and totally fumbling the first impression?
Okay, I have to say I'm maybe kind of clueless to people hitting on me. Like, I
Mhm.
just maybe because I'm in sales and I, like, talk for work, like, I'm always having conversations with people, and I don't assume, like, if they're conversating with me that it's hitting on me, so I just, like, have that person because 'cause I'm just talkative in general, so
Mhm.
is Drew. So I feel like if someone, like, starts talking to me at a bar or somewhere, like, my first thought isn't, "Oh, they're hitting on me."
So, I have never had a moment where I'm like being hit on or being talked to where I was like, ew, like, this guy's really creepy. Like, creepy is a vibe, and
Yeah, I would think
it's
creepy is
hard.
more like their look and, uh, mannerisms than,
Yeah.
like, what they're saying,
I don't think if you go up
unless
to
they say something
somebody
creepy.
and like strike up a conversation, ask to buy them a drink, and then they politely turn you down, that's fine. What
Right.
creepy is like being persistent in a way that's unwelcome. So, like, if they're like,
Like,
"Oh,
sliding up next to
no,
you.
I'm okay, like, thank you though, I'm just here with friends," or "I'm here with my boyfriend," or whatever it is, and then you continue to, like, push the boundaries, that's creepy. Creepy is just it's hard to quantify what it is because you know it when you see it, but you can't just, like.
Yeah, but I would say that very seldom is it creepy.
Right.
Like, I don't like, if you're just striking up a conversation or asking to buy a drink, I'm not like, "Oh my god, it's creep." You
I
know,
mean,
like
well, the example that I have of someone who was legitimately creepy, and I would say one of the worst fails at, uh, trying to
hitting.
hit it on me was we were like at Royal Oak in Houston. I don't even think it exists anymore. It was a great bar. And we're just like hanging out. I was waiting for a drink. A guy comes up next to me. He's trying to order a drink. He starts talking to me. We start talking about Houston, whatever. I'm like literally thinking nothing of it. And, he's like, "Can I buy you a drink?" I literally just got a drink, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure, whatever." And then he's like, "Do you wanna go back to my place?" Literally within, like, right after asking me
Oh my
to buy me
gosh.
a drink,
Aggressive.
and I was like, "Uh, no."
No.
And then he was like, "Okay, well, then I'm not gonna buy you a drink." Like, that not only was that so aggressive, very creepy,
Yeah, very aggressive. Ew.
and then, like, put out such like, creepo vibes that I was like, "I now need to get away from this person immediately because 'cause I'm, like, worried he's gonna drug my drink." It was so aggressive and, like.
Yeah, like, I think if you're talking and you're just having a conversation, I would say having a conversation, you're not gonna you're gonna steer clear of creepy. It's when you try to, like, make some comment or, like,
About going home or even, like, I think immediately
commenting their
defaulting on
looks.
looks.
Yeah.
Obviously, love to hear a compliment, like, if you somebody said, like, "You look great tonight," But if they're like,
If they lick their lips, yeah,
they're
you're
like,
okay,
"I love
disgusting.
that blouse on you," like, something really
Staring at
specific
your
feels way
chest,
too
yeah,
creepy.
yeah. I think just I honestly think it's attractive if someone's, like, a little forward, like, "Could I buy you a drink?" Rather than, like, trying to make some comment or,
Mhm.
like, a pickup
The
line.
other
You
thing that's creepy, there's such a balance. It's like there's like attractive because you're forward, and then there's creepy because you like won't let up. But then there's like also like don't be the weirdo who's just like hanging around. Like
Yeah.
if you and I are at a bar talking and we're like having a drink and one guy's just like a foot away, just like clearly eavesdropping on what we say and like smiling at us and like being weird. It's like either make the move or
Make the
don't.
move. That's what I
Now
was gonna
you're
say. The
weirding me
most
out because
natural
like
thing is
now I
to
think that like you're trying to poison me. Like I
yeah,
don't
stand at the bar and then strike up a conversation about, like, what's on the TV or something, sports, whatever
right.
it is, but don't just sit there.
I
And and again, think, like, striking up a conversation or maybe starting with, "Can I buy you a drink?" But, like, saying some line like, "Yeah, I've been watching y'all, y'all look like you're having a great time." Like, something like that's obviously very
You
bizarre.
just don't. I think there's you be confident and to the point, but then there's also like if you get turned down, there's literally nothing to lose because who gives
Yeah,
a shit?
and
You
they're
just like
never
walk
literally gonna
away.
see you again,
Yeah.
and if they do, it's like, "Oh,
But then if they turn you
no
down,
big
like be
deal."
like, okay, don't keep pressing the issue. That's where it gets weird.
Yeah, I also will say, I think how he worded the question was like, people usually think it's creepy. I don't think it's creepy
To be hit on.
unless it's like a situation where they're being weird and they're making some weird comment or like immediately asking you to leave. If you're just asking, like, I don't think that that's creepy.
I agree.
Don't like lick your lips though, or like look them up and down or stare at their chest. That is creepy.
That's creepy.
I was trying to think of a good story. I don't really have any, but it's been a while.
Yeah. Speaking of been a while, uh, I think we're now going to move into the second section of this
Oh,
podcast. So when I yesterday uh solicited questions on Instagram and Twitter saying that you were on, we got a lot of questions about pregnancy, weddings, postpartum, parenthood, etc. I'm going to be straight with people who ask me wedding questions. We answer a lot of those already, so I'm just going to like save that for later.
okay.
Because you did have a destination wedding, so did I, but I have answered many a wedding question on this podcast. If you have a very specific need to know something, you can DM me and I will do my best to
Or
answer.
me. I've
Yeah.
had some people DM me specific questions about like Cabo and stuff.
Yeah. But here is your chance to uh tune out if you don't want to hear about postpartum
Randy's
bodies.
taking off his headphones. He's
Randy,
out. Randy just left the
but
room.
I do think that there is some stuff that can be helpful in here for males and females.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take off my sweater really fast. It's really
the,
hot.
the postpartum talk is getting you all worked up.
No, it's just like, God, I'm probably having a hot flash. Okay. This is going to be somewhat of a rapid fire because we've got a lot of questions, so I don't want them to be long winded, but we're going to just go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
She puts the
So,
sweater over for the fall vibe.
all vibes, obviously.
Places the
Okay.
sweater on her shoulders.
First is all pertaining to pregnancy.
Okay.
When did you know you were ready to have a child?
Ooh. I mean, I knew I was ready like right away after Drew and I got married because we dated for so long. And I always knew, and Drew always knew too, that he wanted to be a younger dad. Like he had Bane we had Bane at the same age that his dad had him.
Uh-huh.
So he like really liked that age difference because
Mhm.
him and his dad still do a lot of stuff together. So, and we had been dating for like 5 years pre-marriage.
Right.
So like we had gotten all the like travel kind of young fun vibe out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean for us, like Natalie has kids, our sister. I always knew that I would have kids. And so for me, it was kind of like, why wait? Because
Right.
I'm just getting older. And but I don't think I was like, "Oh, I'm ready for a child." Like, I think it
Right.
just happened, and then when I was pregnant, I was like, "Okay, we're gonna get ready
Yeah.
because we're pregnant."
Yeah, that's how it was for us.
Yeah.
We were the same. We dated for 5 years. I think I knew I wanted to have children, but even when we got married, I was not ready. I wanted to like travel, do more, but then the pandemic kind of
Ruined
threw
that.
that
Yeah.
a wrench in that, and I thought, well, I don't want to keep waiting around for stuff to like open up for us to like be able to take the trips we want to have. I would rather just like start living a different part of our lives.
Yeah.
It also kind of happened that my friends were in a big wave of pregnancy. So
Mhm.
my some of my girlfriends who'd already had babies were on their second baby. And I think when we knew we were gonna start trying, y'all were already pregnant, but we didn't know that you were pregnant yet. Probably.
Yeah, we got pregnant right around the same time.
Yeah. Um, and so I thought, okay, let's do it. I don't think Will was like totally convinced.
I mean, yeah, I don't think to be fair for any of the guys still listening, like, if you're not totally 100% prepared, I don't
No
think you're
one's
ever
ever
going to
like,
be. So it's like if you're just scared, I mean, everyone is.
yeah.
So,
Pregnancy is 9 months for a reason. That whole 9 months is you, like, preparing, and then
yeah.
when the baby's here, you're still preparing and learning.
I also think, like, for me, um, we were married for, I guess, a year and a half. It was right after Drew's accident that I was kinda like, "Okay, I'm not just gonna, like, sit here and, like, just because I wanna, like, go to Europe and be able to
Right.
drink." You know? Like, it
Yeah.
was kinda like, "Well, let's just see what happens," and then it did happen.
Yeah. How did Drew or Will best support you while you were pregnant slash through motherhood?
Okay, well, we're gonna have different answers here while we were pregnant because I actually loved being pregnant, and I don't really feel
Lily and I
like
had very different pregnancies.
yeah, like, I loved it. Had I not, like, had a baby bump, I would have felt the same.
I think that was what was really hard for me in pregnancy.
Yeah, you
You and I
see
had talked about it. I didn't tell a lot of people. I didn't feel good. I was very anxious. You were like flitting around, shitting rainbows, and I was like vomiting.
I mean, I think that's common for a lot of people. I mean,
Right.
we're obviously scissors and we're pregnant at the same time, but for people that have really easy pregnancies versus people that, like, are miserable.
And I kept waiting. What's funny is when we decided that we were going to try to have a baby, I was looking more forward to being pregnant than I was actually having a baby. And I remember being like, I'm gonna glow
I'm
so
gonna love
hard
this.
and I'm gonna look like a goddess. People are gonna be like just so blown away by how beautiful I look because I'm gonna be like bringing
They're gonna
life in the world.
dote. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, "There everyone's gonna think I'm
And
so
I
cute."
was so bloated and like so
I know, I look back, I'm like, "Wow, I
like
wasn't,
my
like, that
GI
cute."
system, I couldn't go to the bathroom, then I was going to the bathroom too much. It was like a fucking shit show, literally. And I personally had a hard time connecting with you about it. I was like, I don't want to talk to Lily. Lily's happy. I am miserable and I hate it. I didn't, well, Alyssa and I were pregnant at the same time. I didn't want to talk to Alyssa about it. Like it
Yeah.
was, um, we'll touch on this later about motherhood and postpartum, but like you think that all these people are having all these amazing experiences because they're posting on Instagram like
Right.
pictures
Obviously,
with
they're
their
happy.
stomachs on their
Yeah.
belly and they're glowing and they like have Hailey Bieber skin. But like you don't know what someone's going through.
Right.
And all that being said, same caveat of like trying to get pregnant versus your friends who are having babies. That's always a really hard comparison. And I know trigger warning, obviously, I said this 5 minutes ago, but if you are trying to get pregnant and listening to this is gonna be hard for you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry and feel free to stop.
Um,
Um,
what I was gonna say about the support thing, for me, Drew didn't really have to do anything different to support me, but, like, for Will, for example, like, you needed a lot more. I also think, like, I sometimes joke to Drew, I'm like, "This could be so much work." Like, I could be puking,
yeah,
and I'm, like, being so great. So, like, when I ask you to get me something, if you scoff at me, I'm going to lose my mind. You know,
Yeah.
you're having like hormones or whatever. But I think a good way to support them is like for Drew, one of the hardest things was like he didn't really treat me not that I want him to treat me differently, but he like didn't really think to like go out of his way to do stuff for me, or like when I was like couldn't bend over, like like
Mhm.
stuff like that. He just didn't think anything of it because I didn't really ask or like make a
Mhm.
big deal out of it. Whereas now I'm like, man, maybe I should have kind of like asked for more help or
Yeah.
asked for more support. I was just trying to make it seem like I was totally
Right.
good and like everything I could do everything on my own. But it's like you do have to keep in mind they are creating a human. So like whether it's like digestive issues or just hormones, something that Drew has learned when I would get like upset or something for no reason, and he would go, "Well, are you maybe just a little hormonal?" Like
Yeah.
that's obviously not the right thing to say.
Yeah.
I'm sure Will has had some experience with that too, but I think just being like hyper aware that a lot of stuff is out of our control.
Yeah.
So like whether it's I'm having a great pregnancy but I'm just like a little emotional, or I'm having a shitty time and I'm puking and can't go to the bathroom and
Yeah.
all I want is a chocolate chip cookie, maybe that's not the time to be like, well, you need to eat some protein.
Yeah.
Like just keep in mind that like stuff is happening to us that we literally can't control and that you also can't prepare for and that they can't ever do. Like they're
Yeah.
never going to be like, "Oh, here, you give it a shot and see if you can feel it out."
Right. Will was, I think, really good about understanding that I was volatile,
Miserable.
that my moods were volatile, that I mean, he started making fun of me at the end because I was doing a lot of groaning, which was
I
kind
was
of
doing
rude.
some grunting too that I like didn't realize I was like getting out of bed and stuff. And Drew's like, "Okay,
Yeah.
can you
I
relax?"
think I think just knowing as a guy that you will never be able to experience the same thing and asking how you can help.
You're right. Yeah.
That's the
And
best.
we're so hormonal. I mean, at least for me, like if I'm craving something or asking for something, don't give me a hard time about it. Just do it. Okay. Like
Yeah.
this is not the time to talk about like
If
with Bane,
I
I wanted
unless
fried
I'm
chicken
like
all the time. And so Drew just had to like eat fried chicken. I was like, okay,
unless I'm
get over
asking
it.
for a cup of vodka, like you can get me what I want,
Yeah.
which might be a deli sandwich. And I know that there's people feel some type of way about that too. So,
Yeah.
did you have any freakouts before you had Bane? Like about what you were doing?
Oh, well, yes. But mine was obviously a different scenario. We were like not living in
Your
a,
house?
we were in a temporary situation. We moved like 10 days before Bane was born. That
Yeah.
was like a freak out.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any huge freakouts about once the baby's there
Mhm.
because you're just prepared to like not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like I think you and I both had some freakouts of like, do we need this? Do we need these clothes? Whatever.
Mhm.
And then like at the end of the day, it was just kind of like you can Amazon something if you need like
Yeah.
none of that stuff. The stuff part does not matter. Like
My freak out was like a couple of months before. I think I was probably like 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I realized, like, I'm never gonna be able to nap like I used to, and I was so sad.
and you know what? I thought that too, and actually, that it's not true. It's true at the beginning, but, like,
Yeah,
once Bane was
learned
taking some nice naps,
yeah.
I was able to nap again, so things could turn around.
Yeah, that's true.
I will also say the well, you kinda, like, freak out about, like, your I didn't really have, like, a freak out, but, like, you just start to be like, "Oh my." I remember Drew and I were doing something together and we were driving somewhere and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're like never going to be able to do this again. Like he's going to have to go and I'm going to have to stay home because one of us is going to." And like that was like what I was most concerned about, like running errands together and stuff.
Mhm.
Did not need to freak out about
Yeah,
that. One, if you need to run errands by yourself, it's no big deal also, or just take the baby. It's
yeah.
you don't need to freak out about it.
When did you start thinking about baby number 2? Or have you?
Um,
I think you kinda start thinking about baby number 2 when you have baby number 1, but mostly because 'cause
yeah,
you're like, "I guess I could do it." I think
it's hard because like I have a
right
boy.
after I would say when he started sleeping again, I was like, "I guess I could do this again."
Yeah, when they're
You easily
sleeping,
forget, at least for me, I easily forgot how shitty pregnancy was. I was like, "I'd be pregnant again."
I honestly forgot how the beginning was. Like the
Yeah.
first 8 weeks, Bane was a pretty good sleeper. So is Fritz. I feel like at like 8 weeks, like they slept. People are like warning you they're not going to sleep for a year. Like
Yeah.
it was not like that. I kind of forgot that first like 6 to 8 weeks where like you are not sleeping. I was breastfeeding, so I was like up constantly, leaking. Sorry, hate to say it. Like I forgot that part. Remember
Leaking.
we went to Commodore Perry. You were with us, right? You were
Yeah.
still pregnant.
Yeah.
Bane was very little, and like me and Drew just looked like dead behind the face. And like I don't even remember that happening. And
Yeah.
I wasn't even like drinking. It was like I was just like so, and I forgot that. Like someone was talking about one of my friends due in November was like, "Oh my gosh, the newborn phase." And I was like, "Oh yeah. I forgot about
I
like you
think you
just
just
quickly forget about
when
the
they start
shitty
getting into
stuff."
a routine in, like, 6 months, they start, like, smile well, they smile before that, but, like, having a personality, you're like, "I would do this again."
Yeah, Drew was very much like 6 months and later is I'm like about it.
Yeah.
And we want them to be close together, but I also think like Bane's in this phase right now, so is Fritz. It's like kind of starting the toddler phase
Yeah.
where it's like, ooh, this is gonna be a doozy with a newborn.
Yeah.
Like, and having Bane have
Like,
random meltdowns and
full-blown
can't tell me
tantrums.
what's going
Yeah.
on. Um,
Yeah.
so I think someone said I actually heard someone say this, whatever gap happens is the gap that is right for you. Like you make it work. So like
Right.
obviously all 5 of us are different age gaps apart and there's like pros and cons to each of
Well,
our
you and I are the
differences.
furthest apart at a little under 2
Yeah,
years,
23 months,
and then Natalie and I are the
the closest.
closest at,
And
like,
like there you
15
could say
months.
that there's pros and cons to each of them.
Yeah.
Um so I don't think it's like, oh, you waited 2 years to have another? Well, you should have done it at 18 months.
Yeah.
Like I think it's you just make it work.
Yeah. Okay, this is last about pregnancy. I just found out I'm pregnant. Where should I start and when should I start telling people? I think this is very personal. First of
Yes.
all, okay, where should I start? A couple like actual logistical things. Call your doctor at 6 weeks, which is really like probably what I think you're like 2 weeks after your missed period, you're technically 6 weeks. You
Call
need
them right when you miss your period and schedule it
yeah.
for a couple weeks
So
because
you can
they won't see you until 6 to 8 weeks anyways. But
right. So you can like get your blood drawn, do all of that. I downloaded the What to Expect app.
I think I have the bump
Yeah. And
or yeah, the bump was
the
the
What
one
to
I
Expect
used.
app is great because it kind of tells you like how big they are and like what symptoms you should be expecting, etc.
What they're doing, like what
Yeah.
they're growing or what they can do.
What size vegetable they are. But the best part about the What to Expect app is hidden gem is the message boards. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. You can search those puppies.
Well, this is the thing. They put you put your due date in and they put you in a message board. I was in a message board April 2021. If you've ever felt like you had a dumb question, these people are dumber. Okay. You get on there. It's like the equivalent of going to Schlitterbahn when you don't feel good about your body or like a Walmart in Galveston. You get on there and people are saying some of the most ludicrous dumb shit you've ever
Oh,
heard
yeah.
that you're like, okay, well, I can be a parent. If
Yeah,
this
you're like,
person
if
can
this
parent, I
person's
definitely
gonna
can do it.
pop out a child, I feel great,
Yeah.
confident.
People are saying unbelievably dumb things or just like really like the shit
And
that,
you can search if you have a dumb thing without like
yeah.
asking someone you know and feeling like a total loser.
Yeah. Like we talked about the stuff you freaked out about. These people are freaking out about other really stupid shit.
Yeah, like I peed 3 seconds longer than I normally
Yeah.
do. Is the baby fine?
Yeah, it's not good. Okay. It was my favorite form of entertainment while pregnant. When I was feeling really down about myself, I'd get on there, instant. Instant lift.
Oh, I will also say that people post some pictures on there that you're like, didn't need to see that. They're like, my nipples are really dark. And you're like, okay, please don't show us what that looks like. Or I have this weird, leaking happening. And then they post the photo of it. And you're like, did you need to
Randy
post
looks
it?
not okay.
Like
When
aggressive.
when did you how far along were you when you started telling people you were pregnant with Bane?
I told people, I think, like I told all y'all, like, right the day of my first appointment. The day I went in and there was like a heartbeat, I told my family. Then I told like some friends a few weeks later. I think at that point it was like 8 or 9 weeks because they were like friends that they were in town and I wasn't gonna see them maybe.
Right.
And then, but like broadcasting it, I didn't like post it or tell my work until I think 13 or 14 weeks.
Mhm.
I think I posted it at like 14 or 15, but I had told people before that.
Right. I think it's very common for people to wait until the first trimester is over to fully broadcast it to everyone.
It's also totally up to you. Like for me, I was like really scared to tell people before the first trimester. And Drew was like, you are going to tell these people regardless of what happens.
Mhm.
So, like those people, I feel like we should tell because you're going to tell them if something were to happen, you would tell them. And if
Right.
either way, so that was kind of how he made me feel better about like telling people before it was too, before he was
There's
safe or
no
whatever.
I think now that miscarriages are becoming a lot less taboo, I agree with you. I think if you want to tell people the day that you become pregnant, that's fine. I think
Yeah.
obviously most miscarriages happen in the first trimester, but like you said, if you are planning on like if you were going to have a miscarriage, letting that person know that it happened, then probably telling them that you're pregnant is okay too.
Right. And I also think it's become like people feel more comfortable speaking up about
Mhm.
all different types of, miscarriage or having trouble getting pregnant or whatever. If you are comfortable talking about that and you like feel like you need to talk to someone about it, then maybe telling people like your path, right? Or like when you're trying, like if you
Yeah.
want someone to talk about, some people need that, community and assurance
Right.
to like be able to talk to about it. And I understand that. That is the worst part, I think, at the beginning is you're so secret that like if you're like, I can't tell a soul, you feel super
You feel alone.
alone and
Yeah.
you're like, that's why the message boards are funny. But like at least you're like, okay, there's other people out there experiencing the same things that I'm experiencing. Um, because it's like that 2-week wait or whatever it's called when you're like, if you're trying and you're waiting to find out like that, people, it's like miserable. And if you're super hidden about it, then it feels even more
Yeah.
lonely.
Okay, let's move on to postpartum. We're going to start being a little quicker with our answers
Okay.
here. What was the worst
Sorry
part?
in advance, Randy. This could be it.
What was the worst
Super
part of
anxious.
postpartum? What was the best part? I can easily answer
You
this.
answer first.
Worst part for me was postpartum depression, baby. I had it bad.
Yeah. You weren't very
I
thrilled.
thankfully had already dealt with depression and anxiety. So when I had it, I
Knew what
recognized
it
it
was.
within about a week. Uh, Postpartum was very difficult for me. I knew that it was not normal after about a week that I was crying. I would say 90% of the time. Like that, you shouldn't be crying all that much.
Yeah, you
Um,
just kind of cry for no reason.
I mean, you cry for no reason, but you shouldn't be like
All the
sobbing
time.
all the time. And so I called my doctor and she immediately got me on meds. It was my shouts to Dr. Garcia for recognizing that I had an issue.
Well, and that you recognized it too.
Because
Because it's also hard to know. I mean, the hormones are so ridiculous that I think no one prepares you for the hormones after. You're like, oh, you're pregnant, you're hormonal. And then
Yeah.
after you're literally like screaming the F word at the nurse in the hospital like I
Yeah.
was because I spilled a drop of colostrum on the floor and thought that my baby wasn't going to, live past it. So
Right.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, that was the worst. Breastfeeding was also very difficult for me in the beginning. It got a
Yeah,
lot
I was going to
easier.
say, then you
It's
crushed
very
it.
hard for most people. I think in the beginning.
What was the best part?
Baby snuggles.
Yes, the smell.
Yeah,
They smell
when
so
they
good.
like, I let Fritz sleep on my chest so much, like, just all the time.
I don't even best part is hard. They smell so good. It's just like their natural scent. They smell like
I
literally
just miss,
puppy.
like, him, like, putting his little head in
And
mine.
just my thing was like stuff that he was doing, like, like they're like twitching or like their coughs, just everything that they do is like a tiny human doing it. It's
Yeah.
so cute. Like I had this video of Bane like sneezing and then farting and like I watched it like 50 times because I'm like, that would not be cute if Drew did that, but it's cute as a baby. Like it is. And everything they do is like, oh, yeah, they're so, and their toes are so small. They're literally so small. Like I look back at Bane, I'm like, I cannot believe this toe was like this small. Worst
Um,
part for me, really quick, was I do love sleep.
yeah.
And I don't want to scare anyone because like people saying freakouts and stuff. I mean, it was a doozy because going from like I was kind of prepared because at the end of my pregnancy, it was very hard to sleep because I was so uncomfortable. But like when trying to sleep, but like you aren't getting a good REM cycle. Okay. So
Yeah.
just the worst part for me was like I honestly felt like I was in
Days.
like a simulation. I was like, is this just like, is someone controlling what I'm doing? Like, I was like, I'm literally just like, this baby eats off me. Then I like try to lay down. Then
Yeah.
I have to eat or I forget to eat. Then you're like pumping. It's like
And
very robotic.
then you do it, and then you forget that you did it, and then you
Right.
wanna get pregnant again.
Yeah.
Uh, what is your relationship with your body like postpartum? Positive, negative? How are you feeling?
I, I feel like I'm like, do not care about my body.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, but like, one, I'm like, cool. I mean, my body just did something, like, incredible. I was, like, very on that I kinda get annoyed when people are like, "This body does so many things," but it does,
Yeah.
and but I just didn't really like, I did not care what my body looked like after,
Yeah.
and I was, like, walking a lot and stuff, so I do feel like I was able to lose
Yeah.
most of the weight, like, pretty quickly. Obviously, it wasn't, like, as tight, but, like, I was just talking to one of my friends who just had a baby. You don't need to worry about getting your 3 workouts in a week, okay? Like, if you have an hour of time and you wanna sleep during that hour
Yeah.
or watch a movie or what like, by all means, do what you wanna do. Or if you wanna work out because for your sanity, you feel like, "I wanna, like, get my heart rate up," then do it. But, like, I remember Drew would be, like, asking me about the gym, and I'd be like, "I'm not thinking about the gym." Like, we
Yeah.
were and at the time getting into a new gym, and I was just like, That's not what I'm thinking about right now." Like, if
Yeah.
I have free time, that's not it. I'll go
Yeah.
on a walk, but I'm not like I'm not trying to, like, tighten up my body right now. That was, like, the least of my concerns.
I was very critical of myself while pregnant, especially towards the end. I just felt really fat, not glowy.
Well, and you're just kinda like, "Is this ever gonna
My
go back?"
face was so big,
My face was so swollen. You don't
but
actually notice as much until
until
after.
after. But then after, I feel like I didn't like my body was whatever. And then it was like, I think at a year, I was like, damn, I like am really proud of myself. I look great. I feel great.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that I'm like a supermodel over here, but it's probably the highest body confidence I've ever had.
Yeah, I do think there's something to be said about, like, knowing what your body just did, but
Mhm.
then still being, like, active. Plus, not to mention, you are, like, caring for another living beings. You're carrying it
Yeah.
around, keeping it alive. Like, for me, I was a big like, breastfeeding for me made me feel really cool and, like, good. I was like, "This is awesome. My body is creating the
I
means
am
of"
a cow.
yeah, like, living for something else, and, I will make one note because everyone's like, "The weight just falls off." I don't think that that's necessarily true, like, I think if you do it for a little longer, it does help with, like, your calorie intake and stuff, but, like, if you start breastfeeding and you're not, like, back to your weight in 2 weeks, that is not nor like, you're not don't even expect to
I
be.
wasn't back to my pre-pregnancy weight until after I stopped breastfeeding.
Yeah, I think everyone's different, like, some people breastfeeding, like, pulls the weight right off.
Yeah.
I did like utilizing the breastfeeding to eat whatever I wanted, though.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hell yeah."
Okay, last couple questions. These are about parenthood. One, that I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but I messaged her because she said that basically her question is, how do you not compare yourselves to others with regards to your kids' development? And, I literally messaged her because she said that her child is a scooter
Oh, well.
and not walking yet, and that she's self-conscious about it because her daughter scoots and people make comments about it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically just like scooting on their butt instead of like crawling. Uh, the reason I brought that up is because Bane was a scooter.
It was actually so adorable. It was way
Yeah.
cuter than crawling.
Fritz was a crawler. Bane started walking how much? Like 14 months?
Yeah, 14.
Fritz was probably 16 and a half. I was like worried he was never going to do it.
Yeah. One
Uh,
thing I'll say about the comparing and something that I've learned, like you and I are in a weird situation because we actually truly can be like, oh, where are they at kind of with other kids?
yeah.
Um, I like with walking, I was like, I don't want him to walk. I was like pushing him over at the beginning. I was like, when they start walking, they start running. And when they start running, they start running into things.
Yeah.
So I think taking like people are always going to compare or say they should be doing this by this point in time. Like I think Bane was a really late because he crawled for like a minute before he started walking, but he was scooting for that whole time, and then he
Mhm.
like would kind of crawl, and he was really late to the scoot or crawl.
Mhm.
And he just didn't crawl very long and then started walking. Like every kid is going to be totally different, or some kids would crawl for 6 months before they walk. But they're like, I just think if you're comparing, just think of the positives of like what you're comparing,
Right.
right? Like, oh, my kid's not walking yet. Well, I don't have to worry about my kid bonking his head on the table of the
Yeah.
corner of the table.
This is going to be something we struggle with for the rest of our lives, because if it's not how long it took them to walk, it's like how long it took them to, like, throw
Speak, which they're both very slow at.
right, or like throw a football however many yards, or get an A on a math test, or this and that. Like, that's always going to exist.
Right.
I think as long you have to, you have to remind me this all the time, because I look at Fritz and I'm like, Fritz is tiny and he like is so short, and they keep putting him in the second percentile in height. And like, is he going to be 4 feet tall when he grows up? And
Oh my
that's
gosh.
likely not going to
Ridiculous.
happen. But the pediatrician will tell you, like, if they're concerned, they'll tell you. So if
Right.
they're like, hey, your kid's not meeting these milestones, here's where we need to work on stuff. But if they're like, yeah, that's normal, it probably is normal because that's all
And keep
arranged.
in mind, the pediatrician knows what's normal, not your friend's kids.
Yeah.
So, like, if your friend's kid walked 11 months, congratulations, they're going to have to keep an eye on him way more than you do. And that just because they did doesn't mean that that's what's normal for your kid.
We always, right when Bane and Fritz were born, Drew would make this joke about Bane being real advanced, like as a joke.
Yeah.
But those parents who are like really hyping up their kids, great for them, but they're probably insecure about other shit. So like,
Yeah.
it's what I always say on this podcast, like, comparison is the thief of joy. Where you are in your relationship, life, work, etc., is not where someone else is, even how it looks like to the outside. And you have to just let go of that, because it's going to eat you alive, especially if, like, starting now when they're a baby, like, it's only going to get worse as
Yeah.
their kids when they don't make the A team in volleyball, or they,
Right.
like, it's only going to rub off on them, and then they're going to think that that's not normal.
Yeah. Like for Bane and Fritz, they both don't talk very much. They both make a lot of sounds, but they don't say a lot of words.
Well, Fritz said dog yesterday.
Yeah,
So.
Fritz is trying to learn the dictionary, but I don't think that it's not a concern with anyone else, and I think they're so cute. So I'm like, I don't really care if they don't talk. Like they're
Yeah.
still the cutest ever. So it
Okay.
doesn't matter if they're doing what everyone else is doing.
This is the last question. What were your relationship changes post-child, for better, for worse? And do you have any relationship advice for people? Because I think a lot of people messaged me being like, I'm worried it's going to change my relationship with my husband or wife or significant other,
So you and Will, I feel like, are better at this than Drew and I.
because we go to therapy
Well, also y'all like spend time. Y'all like make it a point to spend time apart.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew and I need to get better at that. It's kind of hard with the living situation,
Yeah.
but I mean, your relationship is going to change, but like, it's not not necessarily a bad thing. Drew and I were just talking about this the other day. We were like, isn't it wild? Like, you care so much about the baby, this other being, like, where that all that attention used to be directed at each other. Now
Mhm.
it's like, I I care about Drew's livelihood, obviously, but, like, I care more about the child's livelihood than my own.
Mhm.
So, like, obviously, I care more about it than Drew's.
Yeah.
And so that is gonna change, and that's normal. I honestly think it would be a little scary if it didn't change. But I think the relationship is gonna change, but being, like, very open about communicating that, um, and, like, knowing like, Drew and I sometimes will, like, we're just gonna be on each other's nerves all day, and, like, Bane's having a freak out or whatever, and we're just going after each other, and then we just have to sit there and be like, "Okay, maybe we need to, like, a date night or something. Like, maybe
Yeah.
we need to just, like, spend some time and talk about something else, like, or get a change of scenery or something." Because I do think no matter what, it's gonna change. Like, you have another human
Right.
that you're responsible for and that you both care more about than the other,
Yeah.
like, than your own
I
self.
think it's
So,
really important. Something that Will and I established very early on, took some growing pains, is like each of us took time to be apart. That's a little bit easier too because we don't work in this, like y'all work from home.
yeah.
Uh, but like Will would go golf or I would go out with friends. But there was never a tit for tat. If one of us wanted to do something, we laid it down ahead of time so the other person could prepare themselves, get childcare or whatever needed to be done. But give ourselves time to be away from our family, to like decompress, to be away from the
Yeah, we need to be
responsibility of
better. Drew does
Fritz.
that a lot. I don't do that a lot.
You need to do it more.
I don't do it at all, really, because in my head, I'm just like, "Well, it's just easier if I'm just here with him and, like, I don't have to get a babysitter or whatever." But he'll be like, "Okay, maybe you need to go
Yeah.
do something." Or
And
like,
then it's also really important, I think, especially now you and I are hitting this where when they're having a breakdown, the child,
yes.
whether it's they're a newborn or they're like having a tantrum, it's not your partner's fault.
Right, but you get like, you direct your anger toward them because you don't wanna direct it at the child.
Right.
And so then it's like, "Okay, I'm not the one having a meltdown."
Yeah. It definitely changes. I think for Will and I, therapy has helped. Just having someone to like go through communication and stuff with is always
Yeah.
helpful. Um, we just do that more of like a healthy tune up. But, I it can change. It has made our relationship better. Like having a child has like made us closer, but it's also hard. I mean, having a baby is not easy.
Something I think about, they said it, any advice, something I do try to think about because it's just like when you get a dog and you're like, "Oh, we're not gonna, like, fight over who gets up in the morning or whatever," but you do. Like,
Mhm.
when I find myself being like, "I got him up yesterday," I
Mhm.
try to remember, like, "Okay, there's gonna be a time where I'm not gonna be able to, like, go pick him up and get him out of bed." Like, he's gonna be a teenager and try to avoid me at
Yeah.
all costs. So I try to keep that in mind. Like, try not as much as you can. I mean, you're going to,
To
but
do
try
the tit for
not
tat.
to do the comparison like, "Well, I did this yesterday. You can do it today."
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. I need to get better at it because I'm always like, "Well, you were gone 3 nights in a row and I put him to bed. So
Yeah.
it's your turn." I need to not do that.
Speaking of, I gotta wrap this up so I can go put our son to bed.
Okay.
Um, on that note, Lily, any final thoughts?
No, but if you have any more, like, maybe gross or, like, questions that we didn't answer postpartum or pregnancy or whatever, feel free to DM me because I do feel like I'm an open book with that kinda stuff, but I know
Yeah.
we didn't wanna, like, talk, breast
Really,
leaking
really
and
upset
stuff.
Randy over here. Where can the people find you, Lily?
They can find me, I think I'm at Lil Betch on Instagram,
Yeah. BOE.
LILBOETTCH,
Okay.
and I think I'm at Lily Betcher on Twitter, but I don't really
Okay.
tweet, so
I'm Sally deFries on Instagram and Twitter. That concludes the Mail In podcast. Please subscribe, rate 5 stars, review, and tell a friend. Don't forget to hit the hotline. We're going to be back to regular scheduled programming next week.
with
888
peanut
362
brittle.
MAIL. That's 888 362 6245. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio at Mail In Podcast. Everyone, have a great week. Bye
Ta ta for
bye.
now.